Welcome back everyone to Adelphi University's Human Performance Lab. Today we'll be taking you through the Parvomedics Metabolic Cart test preparation. In order to start, we'll need a few things. Our cart needs to be calibrated and on. We'll need a mouthpiece that's fully assembled. We'll need a couple extra saliva traps for that mouthpiece in case the individual produces a lot of saliva. We'll need a nose piece to isolate the subject from the ambient air. We'll need a polar heart rate monitor and watch, which we have right here. And we'll need a headpiece with an attached pad so that we can prevent any sort of friction or rubbing of the plastic against the individual's forehead. And we also need our ultrasound gel to help the conductivity of the heart rate monitor. We'll go ahead and apply that now using a small amount on each of the striated surfaces. We can then ask our subject to either remove or lift their shirt so that we can place the heart rate monitor. The heart rate monitor is going to go on the xiphoid process, which is at the bottom of the sternum. So that is right here on our subject. We'll go ahead and have them hold the middle of the heart rate monitor on that spot. We can then take the other side and attach it through the small hole on the other side of the heart rate monitor. Now that it's attached and snug, we can check to see that it's working with the polar heart rate monitor watch. We'll hold it close to our subject, and once a number pops up that makes sense for our heart rate, we can conclude that it's working. Now if we come over here to the computer, we can get our subject's data input. We'll go ahead and click VO2 metabolic testing. Our subject's last name is Braun, and their first name is Joseph. The medical record number is usually the birthday of the individual, the birth date of the individual, and we're using 01/01/1991 for this individual. They are 27 years old, male, 69 inches tall, and 153 pounds. We're going to be leaving the rest of this data here. However, we do have to input the inspired temperature of air, the inspired relative humidity, as well as the barometric pressure, which we'll get over here on our weather station as explained in the calibration tutorial. These are all correct except for the barometric pressure, which is 759.6 millimeters of mercury. And we need to put those in order to account for the volume of air being inspired by the subject. We'll go ahead and click OK once we get our subject hooked up to the metabolic cart. So we'll come back over here and we'll also explain our RPE scale to the subject before we hook them up to the cart. RPE is a rating of perceived exertion. I'm going to be asking the subject what they're feeling and how they're feeling on the scale of 1 to 10 at the end of every stage. 1 being they're not tired at all, 10 being they're so tired that they can't go anymore. Do you understand the RPE scale?
Yep.
Fantastic. We'll go ahead and place this back down over here and we can get them hooked up to the metabolics cart. We'll have the subject place their headpiece on with the pad facing the front and the knob facing the back, and then we'll instruct our subject to tighten it down by turning the knob clockwise. So we'll go ahead and do that. Perfect. Once it's snug, we can then give our subject the mouthpiece, which will go ahead and attach to the subject's headpiece after they go ahead and place their mouth around it. So we'll attach both of the headpiece arms to the mouthpiece. We'll tighten down the wing nuts so that the mouthpiece does not move during exercise. Fantastic. We can now give the subject their nose piece, which will isolate them from the ambient air once we connect the mouthpiece to the metabolic cart. Go ahead and place that nose piece on and make sure that you can't breathe through it. Fantastic. We can now connect the metabolic cart to the clear end of the mouthpiece. And that concludes our preparation for our subject here. We can have them get on the treadmill and either sit or stand. With most individuals, we instruct them to straddle the treadmill. That way, when it turns on, they're not jolted and they can gain their speed and their balance on their own time. We'll come over here to the computer, and now we can click OK. And it'll go through a procedure to test what's going on in the system. Now we'll wait approximately 30 seconds for the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels to stabilize in the mixing chamber of the metabolic cart. This is important because we need to make sure these levels are stable in order to get good data. So we'll wait another 10 seconds for a total of 30 seconds to make sure that the oxygen levels stabilize in between 17 and 18%. And they have, right in the middle, so we can click OK and begin collecting our data. Now you would then go ahead and continue whichever protocol that you decided to continue. If it's a VO2 max test or a submaximal test or any other sort of test, you could then begin testing. That concludes our video. Thanks for watching.